Welcome, everybody. My name is Mina Jane. I'm the director of the Ashland Public Library in Massachusetts, and I'm here with Lily Chu, who is, you're going to have so much fun with her. We've been talking for the last 10 minutes, and I've hooted a little in laughter. So we're going to have a great conversation about her books and her writing and her history and her audiobooks, which you are going to super love. So before we get to Lily, just want to say thanks to the Friends of the Ashland Public Library for supporting all of our programs. Couldn't do it without them. And I'd also like to thank Lily for letting us share this program with other libraries, because of course, when libraries work together, we make magic. You can buy signed books by Lily from Aesop's Fable, which is our favorite local indie bookstore. And and of course, you can order them from your local library because, libraries, magic. I said it. Yep, I'm going to keep saying it. And I do want to thank Lily for stepping into this program. We were going to be doing it with Jackie Lau, and unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it. So just like a couple of weeks ago, Lily's like, hey, I can step in. So I just really appreciate that, like the last minute, go with the flow kind of thing. And we're going to, like I said, have a great conversation. So if you have questions for Lily, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Use that and I will moderate those questions. The chat will stay open so you can all chat with each other. You can talk about what books you're reading. You can even put questions in there. I will try to pay attention to the questions that come up there. And like I said, we'll just have this amazing conversation. So Lily, thank you so much for being here. Like I said, I thought your bio was really funny that you always buy the second cheapest wine. Why the second?
Okay, so I buy it because I'm pretty cheap, but I don't want to look cheap, right? So I feel if I get the cheapest wine, like I'm just declaring something about myself that I don't know. That's between my therapist. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. But interestingly, a sommelier texted me or DM'd me, and she's like, actually, don't get the second cheapest wine. Like that's not. People know that's how people like me think. So I think I'm actually supposed to get the third cheapest wine, but honestly, kind of after a glass, it all tastes the same to me. So I'm not very discriminating.
Well, that and it seems like a lot of math to me to just get a bottle of wine. So, anyways, let's start right off with like who are you and where did you come from and why do you love romance?
Right. Okay, so I am Lily. I live here in Toronto. I've been here many, many years. I grew up outside Toronto, so Canada. Um, I have been reading romance from very way too early age, I think. I think, yeah, like many of us, we snuck them out of various drawers, or I was saying earlier, like, it used to be you could really only find romance in the back of the used bookstores, and they were mostly Harlequins, um, which were great. So yeah, so I've been reading romance for God, decades.
Hmm.
And you kind of go in and out of various things, but it's always been a constant. I just think it is such a fun and joyful and hopeful genre, um, that I read a lot of it. I love writing it. I love writing stories that end happily. Um,
Hmm.
I'm very high anxiety, so stories that are unresolved at the end really stress me out. So I like mysteries and I like romance because I know at the end the killer's going to get caught and people are going to fall in love.
Hmm. That's a good point. Although you're moving into a sort of different direction, which we will get into. Um, but uh, let's talk about. Actually, I wanted to crowdsource a little bit, asking people in the audience, what was the first romance you read, or how old were you, and were you way too young, and where did you get it? Like, I definitely found my first romance at I was babysitting, and they had a Judy Blume wifey. It was not a romance really, but it was like, oh, and I will never forget that experience. But but why when you were when so you live in Toronto, you have a diverse background, and I do too. I'm Indian, and so like I know my family was like, "What are you reading? Why are you reading that?" I don't know. Did you get any of that pushback when you were a kid?
I don't think so because I read everything. Like I was one of those kids who, um, when I got grounded, reading was actually the only thing I was allowed. So I remember once I got grounded, I read an entire animal encyclopedia because it was the only thing I was allowed to read. But I had to read something. And I think, oh, Anne of Green. Okay, so I'm also looking at the chat, but kind of just in and out because I get distracted. Anne of Green Gables, love that. Gilbert. But yeah, I can't remember what I was saying. I've already gone off track. I should probably put this chat down actually because I'm just going to keep going like that.
Anne and Gilbert Forever, also Nora Roberts, a classic. But yeah, you were talking about how no, you read everything. You know,
Oh
you
yeah, yeah,
read the Encyclopedia of Animals when you were grounded.
yeah. So no, I don't think I got a lot of comments about what I was reading, but I and um I try to explain this to my kids sometimes, and it, there were not as many things to read. I feel back then, like back
Mhm.
when I started reading, like the ebooks did not exist. Um, Audiobooks, like if they existed, they were on cassette, and it was like 8,000 cassettes. So you had to have a suitcase of cassettes.
Mhm.
So I feel I really reread in a lot of books, or I got dropped off at the bookstore. In Toronto, we had a bookstore called the World's Biggest Bookstore that was gigantic. It was the size of a warehouse. And so my parents, because it was the 80s, would just drop me off, leave me there all day, and then come get me later. Um, so yeah, like I feel I reread a lot of stuff, but no one really questioned what I was reading. Although I think I had an instinctive feeling on there was some stuff I probably shouldn't be reading. So I
Mhm.
kind of like, sneak read it.
That's what we did like back in the day, getting the covers, we were talking about the Fabio covers and, how embarrassing they were, but also so how titillating. We were just talking, Jennifer said Sweet Savage Love. And I was thinking about the Johanna Lindsay covers that were so,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yunya says that her first romance was The Stand In, which is
Oh,
your book.
oh, yay.
So, yeah, so you already have fans obviously in the audience. Um, But so you weren't really like you didn't have a problem with anybody saying what you should or shouldn't be reading because you kind of read everything. But when you started did you start focusing on romance more at some point
For writing or reading,
for reading? I'm gonna start with that and then we'll go to writing.
I feel a lot of the books I read had romance in it. Like there
Hmm.
was, all the Sweet Valley Highs.
Hmm.
Um, they had romantic elements, they had romantic subplots. Um, I don't know if I naturally gravitated, but I have a sense that if there wasn't some sort of a love story, I think I got a little bit bored.
Hmm.
But I don't think I probably would have recognized that. But you know, um, but I did also read a lot of science fiction.
Hmm.
Um, and fantasy. But I think it's very rare to find a book that doesn't have love in it somewhere because it's such a fundamental human emotion and experience.
Hmm. Absolutely. Um, but sometimes you had said like the thing you like about romances is that it has a happily ever after, and with mysteries they have the killer is found. So was there something that was really appealing to you in heading in that direction because of the knowing that there was going to be that happily ever after? Because a lot of books will say
Yeah.
there's romance in it, but there's not that happy. There's you know people break up,
Yeah.
people die. I don't know. And I'm always like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I read this book and the main character died. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably, but then sometimes you don't know until you're like at the end, you're like, oh, dang.
mhm,
Um, but then I probably just wouldn't reread that book, right?
right.
But again, like I think in general, probably the books I read, the main characters, because it was about their journey, but also most books have closure of some sort. Like unless you are reading like um lit fic or something that is left with an ambiguous ending, most books have an act three close curtain down finality to it.
Hmm.
Um, no matter what that is. And often that is um like the person falling in love or reconciling themselves to a situation that you feel that sense. Like what I need that sense of okay, like things are wrapped up is
Hmm.
really what I seek. And romance really, it's part of the genre that it has to give me that.
Hmm.
um, because it really does bother me if there's like ambiguity, um, uh, threads that are not tied up. I
Mhm.
it, again, the anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you and our attendees, are you okay? Are you like a happily ever after? Are you okay with a happily for now? I'm going to ask our audience too. Like, definitely tell me in the chat. Which one are you a fan of or okay with?
Um, I think probably for the happily for now, in my head, I still translate that as happily ever after. I love an epilogue.
Mhm.
Love an epilogue. 2 months, 2 years, 10 years later. Um, I love catching up with those characters and seeing where they're at. So yeah, I think that even if it is like just for now, in my head, I'm like, nah, they're there for the long haul.
Right. I'm getting mostly happily ever afters. Although some people are like, happily for now is probably more realistic. But remember, this is our fantasy. We can what we want it to be. But yeah, having a nice ending where everything's tied up is really helpful. And so when you started writing, did you know you were going to go into romance, or were you just a writer?
No, I started writing cyberpunk.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, so the first book I wrote was cyberpunk, although it was she was hired to get revenge on an ex-lover. So there was still some romance in it. Um, but
Is
yeah,
it?
no, yeah, I didn't start focusing on romance until I think um a few books in, like, and they're all like pretty bad. They're all on my laptop. Not to see the light of day. So yeah, I think it took me a while to get there. Um, and I don't know why that is.
Hmm.
Just yeah.
You're not going to tie that up in a bow for us, are you?
No, no. Like I want to though. And sometimes in my head, I'm like, well, this is the reason, but I really don't know. Like I just knew that I was reading a lot of cyberpunk at the time. Still love William Gibson, one of my favorite authors. Um, I like that style writing. I like the grittiness of it. I like the darkness. I like this dystopian attitude of it. Um, I was in my early 20s, living in a basement. It was always dark. There's cockroaches. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just started writing romance when I moved out of the basement.
Mm, that would do it. Up until then, it is really dark. So did your first book get published? The first book
Uh,
you wrote?
no, that thing is still like that cyberpunk one is still.
No, your
Uh,
first romance. I'm sorry, your first romance. Did your first
oh,
romance get published?
um, no, no. The romance that I actually got my agent for, still we didn't sell it.
Hmm,
So it is a steampunk romance.
I love
Um,
steampunk.
I do too. I do too. And I wish more publishers did, because I actually really like that book.
Hmm. Could you send
So, and
me a PDF of it? I promise not to share it.
we were talking about it the other day because, because your agent just is someone that you talk ideas around where your career going to go. And we were talking about it. Um, Actually, when I said the other day, I actually mean like 8 months ago. I just time compressed.
No.
But I am thinking of just kind of rejigging that. Um, but it was really fun to write. Um, and it was, yeah, I just love a good steampunk romance. Like Gail Carriger, kind of like, the early Solus books.
Oh yeah,
Amazing.
I love those.
Yeah, so much fun.
Actually, Karen asks, "What is steampunk romance?" And I just assume everybody knows because I love it so much. But could you give us a quick definition?
Yeah, so steampunk is a genre that, and okay, correct me if I go off because I have my interpretation, but I know other people kind of interpret it different ways. Steampunk is a genre where the vibe of it is kind of Victorian mixed with advanced technologies. So when you see people dressed up and they're dressed in like full Victorian long skirts, but they've got crazy goggles and stuff, that's a steampunk vibe. There's lots of dirigibles, like, airships. Um, Guns will be like kind of those old timey pirate guns, but maybe they shoot air pellets with a new kind of technology. So they can be kind of a mix, but the vibe of it is very mechanical.
Hmm. Yeah, and super cool, I think, like visually.
Yeah.
I do love anything by Gail Carriger. So our audience would love to know if you would ever self-publish that, because now we need to have it now that you've mentioned it.
I just, yeah, I think like part of it is it's the book that got me an agent, which for a writer is just a very special moment.
Yeah.
So that book to me is like kind of eternally special.
Hmm. So then, what was your first published romance?
For the rom-coms, it was a stand-in.
Hmm.
I did a few kind of paranormal, um, but the stand-in is the one that I feel like it kind of got my stride.
Hmm.
Someone was saying, and I wish I was on a podcast. It was a writing podcast. I can't remember what it was, but they were saying that they kind of wish, like they were writers, that writers had eras like painters do, like like the blue era, your cubist era, or whatever, where you can try new things and see what works and see what doesn't work and evolve your craft and your art and what you're working on. Um, and I've been thinking about it a lot, like how there are some art forms where that kind of evolution is kind of expected and sought after, and writing is. I'm like, I'm not sure if writing has that, because it's almost like you have to reinvent, and I don't know what that is. Now I'm just kind of riffing. And people,
Sorry.
please feel free to chime in, especially if you were like a visual artist. This is something I've been like, I mull a lot of things just around
Hmm.
um, when I'm
Yeah.
writing. So
Well, I think because I'm not a writer, I can definitely be like, well, I don't have that skill, so I can't see what you see when you're like putting words to page, like on the page. I just can't even imagine having that ability. Um, I mean, I can do it like writing a report, but I can't do that creatively like you do. So let's talk about the stand-in for a minute, because I read the most incredible review for it on Goodreads. It was like really long, and I was like, wow, this person really, really loved this book and had some wonderful, wonderful things to say about it. So let's do like a quick overview of what it's about, and then we'll talk about a little bit about what it is that I read and wanted people to get out of it.
okay. So you know what? Ta-da! So this is it. This is Gracie. So the book is basically about, it's first person POV from Gracie's point of view. And it is, she's biracial. So she's like me, half Chinese, half white. And she takes on a job to kind of act as a stand-in for a very famous Chinese movie star for events, so like a doppelganger. So she has to kind of learn how to be Feng Li. And at the same time, she's kind of falling for Feng Li's co-star, Sam, who I love.
Mhm. Can you hold the cover up again? Because I think you look just like her.
I wish.
The hair flip and everything.
I
Yeah.
used to have long hair too. So yeah. So the cover artist is Lenny Kaufman, who does absolutely, I just think like it, she's so talented. She's done all my covers. Look at this jacket, everybody, please. The tiger. This one's K-pop. If you're into K-pop, if you're not into K-pop,
I love
um,
K-pop. K-pop Demon Hunters lives for free in my head.
I cry at everything, but I was like sobbing at the end. Um,
Well, yeah, I won't give it away, but yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so the stand-in, what, like I said, was so loved about this book was that it was so complex. You took a very simple idea, this girl standing in for a famous person, but it talked about, mental health issues and friendship and love and you know, competition and feeling lonely and things like that. I'm like, how did you stuff all that all that information into a rom com and still make it funny?
um, I mean, the thing when you're writing the book is that you have the concept, but then you have to get 100,000 words or 90,000 words out of that, right? Um, so you have a character and they're going to fall in love, but that's not the only thing that they're doing. So if they're in a situation, then you have to start thinking of why they're in that situation. So why would, like, I know if someone stopped me on the street and they're like, hey, do you want to be this movie star's like doppelganger for events? I'd be like, thank you, but no, thank you. Like, I
Oh,
just
I
won't
would
do it.
totally do it. I would do it in
Oh,
a
would you
second.
do it?
Oh, I totally do it.
I'd be like, I feel like this is messy. There's going to be mess. So then the question for Gracie is, what is happening in her life that she would do it? So for Gracie, it was that, she was dealing with a boss that was harassing her, which I think a lot of people have been kind of in a situation at work where they feel stuck. Um, and then, sometimes they lose their job, which Gracie does. Her mother has dementia. So she's in long-term care, but she wants to get her because her mom's Chinese, she wants to get her in a culturally sensitive long-term care home. So one where they speak her language. She can have the food that she's familiar with. The surrounding culture makes her feel at home rather than the long-term care facility she's in. And then, you draw a lot kind of just from your own life and experiences. Like that idea came from somebody I know in a home like that. And I saw the difference that it made.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, it really is like writing is the craft, but then it's also like the part I try not to think too much about because I'm worried I'm going to jinx it in some way. But you write something and then it just sparks a thought, and then you just end up following all of those leads. Because when I write a book, I don't have a very complex or detailed outline.
Mm-hmm.
I usually go on a proposal. The proposal for the book I'm working on now, I kind of had the very general idea. My editors like to see like a bit of a chapter breakdown,
Mm-hmm.
so then they can see like, okay, like, do you have enough to talk about for 90,000, 100,000 words? Are those words going to be interesting in any sort of way? Or is it looking a little thin? So I will give a bit of a chapter breakdown. But I have found that my chapter breakdowns, like, it works better when I'm like, here's what I want to talk about. So this book coming up is going to be about luck, randomness, and chance. Here's how I'm going to be talking about it. Chapters 1 to 10 are going to look like this. Then chapters like 10 to 25, some stuff's going to happen, and it will and there's like, a few bullet points on how the character is going to go, a few of the like set pieces I want in there, and then it's going to be obviously the happy ending. But yeah, it's balancing all that. You write the book, and then a lot of it is editing, a lot of it is, like, I have definitely written things where I've read it, I'm like, that's not funny. Like, it's just not, like, if I can't make myself laugh, then
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to work. So then I have to go through and find out what's going on. Why is it wooden? Why is it not charming? Why does it not have like a zing? Why are those characters not connecting in the way I want them to? And then sometimes it's, you can kind of see where it breaks down, and you can kind of make that fix and get it on from there. The last book that I just handed in, I think I did 4 or 5 complete rewrites until I was happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just I wasn't proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to keep working at it.
Until you got it where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
There was the thing I read that really struck me about the stand-in was that there was a moment where Gracie had to choose between being a friend to Fangli or continuing on with maybe a misunderstanding with Sam, and she chose Fangli, right? Like she chose to the friendship. And that is so unusual, and I think in romance, I mean, we all talk about found families and, girlfriends and, bromances and things like that. But that was like such an amazing choice for you to make for your characters. Was it something like you really thought about, or was it just like, oh, I would do this?
I don't think, like, all my books will always feature a strong friendship subplot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think I I don't I don't think the world, like, when we meet somebody or fall in love, other stuff still continues. And I think that um friendships are such a huge part of our lives, whether we have them or if we don't. Um,
Especially women.
Especially women, men too. Like I
Yeah.
think friends are like necessary for everybody. But I do think maybe, and I don't like, it's possible that women are maybe expected more to like kind of drop their female friends when they meet a dude and suddenly, or it could just be a whole relationship, new relationship thing
Hmm.
on whoever is falling in love, regardless of sex, gender, what have you, that the that need to be with the person is so strong. Um, but I like, for me, I just, I think about friendship a lot. I think about what it means a lot. I think about, the women in my books, like Gracie, when she actually doesn't have a lot of friends. Um, so the book is actually partly about her finding those friends and finding those supports in her life, which she really needs as she's going through all these changes, like with her job, her mom, um, you know, dealing with the stress of fame. So, I want to show her growing and investing in those friendships,
Hmm.
and how they impact her. So, yeah. So, I don't really like, because it's important to me. I guess I don't really like, I'm like, this is a natural consequence of me prioritizing those in the books. That, like I just wrote a scene where, for the book I'm writing now, um, so Gia, the main character, has obviously fallen in love with Remy, the guy, and she's made plans to go with a new friend to go out somewhere. Not Remy, and Remy's like, "Oh, too bad. Like, I wanted to hang out with you because, some of my plans fell through." And I think there are some situations where people would be like, "Okay," and they would dump the friend and go with the new guy. But I'm like, no, like she's made a commitment to her friend and she's going to do that. Like that's, um, I think, a very valid a choice to make, and it still works well within romance.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. And we don't have to talk about this, but I really love the concept, the way that you portrayed, or what I read about the portrayal of loneliness, that it's not a particular, anybody can feel lonely. Gracie, who is, dealing with a lot of stuff sort of on her own, even Fongli, who's got all these like people around her, but she is alone. So I really loved that, how you made that, it's not just about privilege. It's not just about, socioeconomic. It's something that we can all feel. It can be very, very universal. I really love that. I wanted to get into some of these questions because I want to make sure we have time for them. Rosemary asked, what age did you begin writing romance? Do you, this one?
20, mid to late 20s,
Hmm.
I'd say.
And the stand-in was your first? That's amazing. Like, it's so
Um,
amazing.
no, like there's like more than a dozen really bad books on my laptop. Like I cannot stress this enough. Like, the stand-in is just what happens when you just keep trying.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've got a lot of books that, are not any good. The characters are bad, the plot's bad, they're boring, like they're just badly written. They're just bad books. But that's what you need to do to eventually, hopefully, get to one that where you're like, okay, I think I can do something with this one.
Hmm. And you have, which is wonderful. Victoria asks, or says, your characters always have such interesting jobs and hobbies like geocaching. How do you come up with them?
Um, I like doing a lot of stuff and I have a very short attention span. So I get really interested in something and then I move on to something else. But the period of interest in that is so fun for me. I like to share it. So I was super into geocaching for a couple of years. Like we would like, I don't know, go under bridges and whatnot. Like here in Toronto, we're on a lake. So there's a big lake shore. So, we'd walk down there, find the geocache. So if you don't know what geocaching is, it's basically a treasure hunt kind of. So people will put little boxes where you can either put a little knickknack in. It can be like a penny or a safety, like just a cute thing sticker, and then you just kind of jot your name and if you found it, and everything's like on an online map with hints.
Hmm.
So you can go find stuff that's in a tree or stuffed under a picnic bench or you know um, magneted it, when you use a magnet to stick it to something.
Yeah.
uh, So I wanted to include that in the book just because I thought it was super fun, but I didn't want to just do geocaching. So I turned it into Questy because I
Yeah,
also like trivia.
it's like Pokemon Go, only for nerdier people.
I also played Pokemon Go when it first came out. Yes. So most of the things in the book are um, things that I either think are super neat, but I haven't been able to try, or things that I have tried and I really like.
That makes a lot of sense. Junia asks, will there be past character cameos that are more significant to the story in your future books?
Mm,
Because your
so
books are standalones, right?
they are, but I really like Easter eggs.
Mm,
I think Easter eggs are super fun. So in each, I mentally segment my books. So these three in my head, although they are all standalone, in my head, these are mentally segmented together because they're all kind of based around like celebrities or glamour jobs, right? So we've got like K-pop, movie stars, and high fashion. So you will get Easter eggs of characters from each of these books, you know, going this way. Obviously, if I've written the book, I can't Easter egg a character back because I haven't thought of those characters yet because I don't plan that far ahead. And then the other one that starts with Drop Dead, um, those characters will kind of Easter egg into those three books. And I don't know, that's just kind of, I don't know mentally how I've done it. But, oh, an Easter egg is a very short, quick cameo of a previous character into the book, so where you can kind of see like a mention of them, or they just show up super quick. So there's no real, they're almost like not even a tertiary character for that book, like a, but they're there. So you can be, if you've read the other book, you'd be like, hey, I know that character.
mhm.
I
Sort of
know
like a
Sam. There he
walk-on.
is. Yeah.
Like in
Um,
a theater, it'd be like a walk-on. But I think of Easter egg as something that is hidden within. Like, yeah, it's not like a walk-on. It's something that you're like, oh, she mentioned that in that other book, and now it's coming. Now it's in this story, right? Or a nice
yeah.
surprise, exactly.
Yeah, it
But I
is.
think I think Junia is actually getting to, will there be an epilogue novella or spin-off of any of her books, because she needs more Sam and Ji Hoon.
Okay, well, guess who's in luck? Because I have written a Christmas novella that is a, so the comeback, the main characters are Ari and Jihoon. The best friends are Kit and Hana. So it is about Kit and Hana. It will be available in audio, not this Christmas, next Christmas, and it is a uh, secret wedding Christmas novella.
Ooh. All right,
Secret
everybody.
wedding.
Start pre-ordering now. So this is the question I've been waiting to ask you, because I really wanted to dig in a little bit on the audiobooks. Is several of your books have been available initially exclusively as audiobooks. I'm curious about how that came about. Does it affect how you write at all? And I would like to know, how did you get Phillipa Soo and John Cho to do your audiobooks? Yes, I believe all of your books are available in print. At least if it comes out in audio, it comes out in print like a few months later.
Yes, but the novella, I'm not totally sure. I think yes, but it won't be out through my usual print publisher.
Okay.
It's through I think it's through a different print publisher, but I don't know if it's confirmed yet. So maybe I shouldn't have said that. So everyone forget that I said that, and please
Okay.
wipe this from
We'll
all
cut that right out of the
communications.
recording.
um, yeah, so my books are out on, first they come out on Audible, and then they come out in print. So all the books are available on Audible, and then they will come out in print about 9, 10 months later. So usually the next kind of calendar year. Um, because my deal is kind of through two publishers, which I think was a bit unusual when I inked it, and I think there are more of them now, but I don't know if it's still a very popular deal. So um, basically, the Audible editor and the print editor and I all work on the books together. So it's kind of like all three of us working on it, which I love. I think it's great. I love the feedback I get from them. My editors are amazing. They're super smart, super insightful women. Um, so I'm really grateful that I have this opportunity to work with both of them. Um, as for the um, has my writing changed? Not Not deliberately, but I do think about some things more. So I always do an audio edit of the books. So I will write, like, I write it. It usually takes me about 2 or 3 months to write the book, and then I edit it for another 3 or 4 months, usually if I have the time. So most of the work comes in the edit stage. So it will go through a whole bunch of edits, including I read it out loud. So if I'm really concerned about it, I physically will read the thing out loud, dry throat and all. But usually I just have like the computer read it to me. And because I am more conscious of writing for the ear, but luckily it translates to both print and audio. Like I feel if a book is fairly easy on your ears, it will also be good on your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are definitely things where I've written. So Rich Girl Summer had a scene where I thought it would be funny, interesting. I'm not sure what I thought it'd be. I just wanted to do it. To write a scene set like a movie script. So you know when it has like int night whatever so and so, like, so it was in script format, but then both editors were like, that's not going to work. So I had to do it back in narrative form, and obviously, like, my audio narrators, like, how would we, it's because it's a visual, like, sometimes you have visual jokes on the page or whatever. She's like, how would you do that? And I was like, I don't know, it's kind of like, wasn't thinking about that part. I just thought it'd be
Mm-hmm.
cool. And then the print editor was also like, yeah, it's not going to work for us either. So sometimes I do change things around. I found there's a lot less swearing, um, because I've realized I swear like a sailor personally, so I have nothing
So do I.
against swear words. The stand-in, tons, to the point where, like, for a while the top review rating thing was like just language. Um, but I have found that because when you're listening, it's such an intimate medium in your ears, often with your earbuds,
Mm-hmm.
that swearing, um, it feels a lot stronger. Like, it feels a lot stronger to hear someone say the word than to see it, to read it in my head on the page. And so I found I now use it uh, more as emphasis, where I before maybe I used it more like how I use swear words, which is probably much too often in regular conversation. But now it is really when I want to emphasize a point, an emotion, a situation, and I think more carefully about it, which I didn't think was something I would be thinking about. But here you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as for getting Phillipa and John, not me. Audible has an amazing team. Um, I just am very, very grateful. I think Phillipa Soo really captures the voice of the books. So, yeah, I feel really lucky.
Well, and I think John Cho is like one of the most beautiful men in the world. So I don't really care
Yeah,
about his voice,
he is.
although
He's
I'm sure he does a good
fantastic.
job. But so they were part of, and I've actually noticed this is there's a lot of actors that are audiobook readers now, like Mark Hamill. He's always done voiceovers and things like that, but a lot of celebrities now do that. Do you think that they were more amenable to doing your books because they had a multicultural aspect to them?
Um, I think so. I talked with Phillipa before she did the stand, and we that's something we did talk about. Um, I often do wonder why people do agree, and I've often wish I could ask. I'd be like, so what, really, what? Um, but Audible is also very careful about keeping me away from anyone like that I could just pepper with questions. Um, so yeah, I think so, but I wouldn't like to specifically like speak for someone, but I do know for Philippa, it was what attracted her to the stand-in.
Hmm. And um, you just said you met her. Did you meet her in person, or do you get to tell them like how like a name should sound or things like that?
Yeah, there's a producer. So when I write the book, then it goes through an actual audio edit, like not the audio edit I personally do with my own, where we'll take out like my editor, not me. I'm taking the claim for the work, but we take away a lot of the like dialogue tags, like she said or asked or whatever, because stuff that's clear when the narrator says it, you don't actually need to say.
Right.
Um, and there are, sometimes there'll be notes on like how do you want this to sound, or you know, um, should this person have an accent? So I will go through and I'll be like, this is in my head how this person's voice sounds. This is the accent that they have based on their background. This is how you say certain words. So I will put together a list of all that stuff. And then sometimes they'll come back and they'll be like, actually, we think so and so should sound like this for these reasons. I'm like, okay. Um, because it's not, I don't really think audibly in my head, right? Like the way I'm working is different than the way they're working. So
Mhm.
I want the best audio experience for listeners.
Mhm.
Um, which means listening to their suggestions, which are and there it's not like no, they need to sound like this with no reason. It's like, well, looking at what you said and looking at the text, this is why we actually think it works better if they sound like this. And I
Mhm.
was like, almost all the time it makes way more sense because I'm looking at it from a very particular way. Like a book is really by the time it gets to a listener reader, it really is a group project. It's being edited, it's being proofread, it's being looked at so many people. A lot of people comment on it. Um, and I think it gets richer for the more people who are able to kind of say like, hey, have you thought of, or I'm not sure about that.
Mhm. I feel like I read that one of your audiobooks won an audio award.
If it did, I did not know about it.
Oh, well, then I might be wrong because I was thinking, wouldn't that be fun if you
But
were at the audio
I
awards and you
mean,
got to hang
it
out
would
with
be great. I, I like that
it's
a lot.
it's in the makings for sure. Because but they have been awarded. They have had they're just really wonderful audiobooks. And I have problems because I can only listen to a book I've already read. So that 9 month thing for me, it gets turned around. Um,
Yeah,
when I read it in print, then I listen to it because I like the performance aspect of it.
yeah,
But I know the
yeah.
story, so if I start daydreaming, at least I haven't missed anything important in terms of the story.
I know somebody who waits because they like to read as they're listening. Um,
Hmm.
so they just hold off until it's available in print, and then they kind of like do both at the same time, which I think is neat.
Yeah, we're all doing what we can to read everything we can. Um, Marikar asks, do you interweave part of your personal narrative into the characters of your books? Like, where do you find the inspiration for your characters?
Yes, I do. But in different ways. So, and it's this is going to be the worst answer ever, and I'm really sorry, but it's really hard for me to tell sometimes. And it's not other people who know me will actually point things out that I hadn't realized I had put in the books.
Hmm.
There are definitely specific scenes that come from my own like life. So, for instance, in the stand-in, um, the how Gracie's parents met is how my parents met.
Hmm.
Um, and then my daughter was reading, she's like, "Oh my God, is this Pope and Grandpa?" I'm like, yes. So different things will come in. Um, so and it's hard for me to tell. Like I have a huge list of ideas. Anything, and something strikes my fancy, whether it's something that I've heard, seen, experienced, read, you know, stumbled across, it goes in my gigantic list that I pull from at various points. But yeah, I couldn't really tell you a lot of what of me goes in, and then how that changes in editing. But I do know like there are definitely specific like the cats in this are two of them are my cats.
Mm.
Um, the cats in this one, his cats, I actually named them my cats. Um, the comeback came because I got super obsessed with K-pop and couldn't really find, like most of the K-pop books I found were YA. So I couldn't really find any adult ones. So I wrote one. This
Mhm.
jacket um, is because like I love Sukajin jackets. I think they're super cool. I adore tigers. So there's a tiger up there. Like tigers are my thing. Um, but I also nearly bought this same version of this jacket. So they all come in, I don't know, very different ways. I think I'm a bit
Hmm.
of a magpie. I just collect and then put them in things. So I
Hmm.
know that's a really kind of frustrating answer because I can't really answer it. Um, so yeah, a lot of me goes in, but then a lot of other people is definitely in, but not apart from some very specific people, not like real life. Like my mom is not in there, say, but
Hmm.
elements of our relationship are.
Hmm. No, that makes a lot of sense. Selena asked, if you had to choose between the stand-in and the comeback, which would you like as a TV series, and who is your dream cast?
Oh, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go with the comeback
Okay.
just because I can. So I actually don't watch a lot of TV. It's really hard for me to keep focus on visual media, like really, really hard. And I'm currently watching One Piece with my kid, which takes up all my time because it's about a million episodes. But I can really visualize a lot of the scenes and like the concert scenes and the crowd scenes and Jihoon. Um, and who would my ideal casting be? I mean, I still have to put Phillipa in there. I think she's a
Hmm.
fantastic actress as well. For Jihoon, oh, you know, um, oh, what's his name? I'm blanking his name. He voiced Jinu in K-pop Demon Hunters. He was in Business Proposal. I can't remember his name, but I really like him.
Horrible with names. So if anybody's got it, let us know.
If someone has him, um, please, please tell me because he would be. That'd be cool.
That would be
That'd be
cool.
cool.
So we actually have not gotten a chance yet to talk about what's coming up because you actually have what, three books coming out in the next year?
Yeah, in 2026. Yeah, yep,
And so one of them is a YA, one of
yep,
them is still a romance, and one of them is women's fiction.
yes, yep.
Okay.
Uh, oh, actually, and that novella is coming out too. And the print version for Rich Girl Summer is coming out. So I guess technically it's like four and a half things, but only three and a half of them are new.
Do you ever sleep? On Hyo-sip. He's what
Oh,
pictured.
great. Yeah, yeah,
um, so okay, let's talk about the YA because that's what is that the one that's the Gilmore Girls meets the
yes,
opposite of Parent Trap and
yeah. Oh, so
hijinks ensue.
actually, this is a great example of that life, and in the books thing. So it's a YA. It's about a 16-year-old named Ivy, who is struggling with depression that she can't name. Her parents have split, and her mom decides to cheer them up. They're going to go on a trip to Japan in the summer. Except Ivy had been really counting on the summer to kind of get her situationship like in the bag. So it kind of wrecks that. And when they get to Japan, it turns out that the group trip is actually with a group of retirees. And the only other people their age is a guy named Keith and his son Mateo, who is Ivy's age. And the two of them kind of have to work together because the whole bus kind of wants to get the parents together, and neither of the kids wants that to happen. So the two of them are kind of falling in love as they're trying to stop their mom and their dad from falling in love. But it is based, I got the idea because I went to Japan a couple of years ago. And so their itinerary is basically what I did. Um, not to the letter, but it was really inspired by it. And when I was young, I actually went on a lot of group bus trips to various places with my parents. So yeah, so I kind of merged those together to make the vacation shift. I really like Ivy. It was my first YA. Um, and it was tricky to write. It's tricky to go back to those years and kind of like remember how intense everything is.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really like her as a character.
Hmm. I actually had a similar experience. I went to India with my parents, and we were on a bus trip. And my dad kept going up to people and asking them to be my friend because he was worried that I was feeling lonely, and I was like, well, that's not helpful. And there was nobody my age, so it was just, yeah.
That is awesome and such like a caring dad, but slightly misguided dad thing to do.
Yes. But that makes me want to read this book even more because I'm like, well, yes, I've had that experience. I mean, we've all had that experience, haven't we? Of being put in an awkward situation because of our parents and, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, all that. So I love that you sort of captured that in this book. So the next book is the Rich Girl Summer. That's out in audio already, though, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's in audio. And I actually have the arcs, which I actually don't think I was allowed to show those anyway. Oh, well, sorry. I don't think I'm allowed to promote them yet. But anyway, here it is. The book's going to be coming sometime in spring, summer. Like, look how beautiful it is. Like, it's just so summer. It's so
Mhm.
summer.
Mhm.
Um, if you haven't listened to it, it's set in cottage country, which is an area, there's a lot of cottage countries, but for here in Toronto, it's usually like the one I'm referring to is a couple hours north. And it is about a woman who takes on kind of a celebration of life planner who takes on the role of a kind of fake daughter to help one of her clients find out who in his family actually knew about his real daughter, which he has just found out about. And she and the right hand man fall for each other as they're trying to figure it out.
Oh, so yeah, look out for that print version. And we did not see that, on the screen.
I
Although the
thought,
cover is on your website,
I'm like
so
Tom Holland with these books, like just unable to avoid any.
spoiler. And then this last one, in which I am so looking forward to, the Library Flowers. Totally different cover, but really, really beautiful. And
Yeah, this one I can definitely show. The arc's already out. Um, Everyone, please, like, I just think it's the most beautiful thing. And then if you open it, oh, I don't know if you can actually see it, but the front, it has like kind of like a water or just a line
oh,
thing. So if you're super into like coloring, you could actually color it in. Um,
I'm not, but I might take it up.
it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So this is actually fiction. So it has a romantic subplot, but the primary story is about Lucy and her mom. So Lucy is she's a perfumer. She actually comes from a family of perfumers, and they actually have the ability to change emotions through their perfumes. And every fifth daughter called true love, except Lucy is the fifth daughter and she can't. So it's about her and her mom and her relationship, and loneliness. Actually, it's really about loneliness and finding yourself and who you are and who you want to be.
It sounds amazing. I can't wait to read it. Now, when is that coming out?
Uh, spring, spring 26.
Okay, I love it. And is that coming out in audio first as well, or is that
No,
just?
this is like a usual print book.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, if you
So
hear rattling, my cat is pounding at my door to get in because they're super angry. I'm in a room that they are not. Um,
you can let your cats in. We won't mind, right, everybody? We won't mind. I'm surprised my cat's not here.
Want to come in? Lily cat? Come in.
In a minute, we'll hear some yowling. It'll be great.
Oh, she just wanted to be annoying.
Oh, okay, gotcha. As cats are.
Yeah.
Um, I want to go back a little bit because we have a few more minutes to about your covers because they are really beautiful. I love that they're illustrated, but they're not cartoony. Was that something that you had some control over? Because I hate cartoon covers. I hate them.
Mm. Yeah, I like to some degree because with the stand-in, I as an author, basically you can kind of put input into a cover, but it's not totally up to you. And publishers are looking for a lot of different things, more so than what I might be looking for, because they're looking for how's it going to stand out on a shelf. They're looking for and remember, these are usually a year, 2 years out from when it's going to be published. So they're looking for a bunch of different things. Whereas my concern is like, is it cool? Like, not I'm not really at their level. So I do get kind of asked my opinion. Um, and definitely I'm like, for something like, this doesn't match for these reasons, or I prefer it like this for these reasons. Or I'll highlight certain scenes that I'm like, I think this would make a really good kind of um, um, cover look. But yeah, I think that's Lenny's style. Like she's a very like that. If you look at any of her covers, she's just a beautiful artist, like just absolutely incredible. And she actually did. If you look at the Bad Boyfriend Curse by Farah Heron, who's a friend of mine, she
Mhm.
did that one too, and it's the cutest cover. But it's the same kind of thing you were talking about, where it's illustrated but not cartoony.
Mhm.
And there's so many little details in all of her covers that I just think is amazing. Like this one has the cats, you know,
Mhm.
and the cats kind of look like how the cats should look, and their expressions are amazing. Like I don't know how, you know, I'm not a visual artist, so people who can do this kind of work are just, I'm so impressed and just astonished by how she can take a brief and make it
Mhm.
how
And
it should be.
were you able to request Lenny, or was she assigned to you?
She was one of the, um, they gave me a list to look at, and I was like, because I knew her from the Olivia Dade cover. So anyone who reads Olivia Dade, you know
I
that Lenny
love
did.
Olivia Dade.
Yeah. So I just saw them like, oh my God, that's an option. Um,
Yeah, amazed. Okay, last question from Selena. What would you, not, no, no, it's the last question, not necessarily just from Selena. What would what advice would you give to those in this that are listening in about writing?
I would say there's a couple things. The first is if you want to write a book, then you should write the book. So a lot of the times we get in our own heads about like, oh, you know, I want to write the book, but forget the buts. Just sit down. And also keep in mind that you don't have to sit down for 8 hours a day. You can, I know someone who writes their books on their phone. Um, you know, people have written, you know, keep a spare notebook. If you, it only has to be a couple hundred words a day, but that's a couple hundred words you didn't have yesterday. And by the end of the week, that's going to be maybe 1,000 words that you didn't have the previous Monday, right? So it's
Mhm.
all, it can be very, very small steps. And if you are daunted by an empty page, get out the notes app on your phone and just tell yourself the story. You know, you don't, as long as you are in that mode of creation, I think eventually the story will come out. But I think it's easy to psych yourself out of it,
Mhm.
um, especially with so many other things demanding you and your time.
Mhm.
Um, but I would, my advice is always like write write the book.
Mhm. I know Nora Roberts says the same thing. She's like, if you're gonna write, get your butt in a chair and write.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
and it really is. And there's a lot of ways you can do it, but it really fundamentally comes down to you have to be willing to prioritize writing those words for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever you want to do, but at least a few words, um, and to keep with it in a somewhat regular basis.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a job, right? It's not just, you know, it's a job, it's work.
Yeah, like I think it can be a lot of like, you know, the sense of you have to be inspired, but you really don't.
Hmm.
Um, Often I think that like most things, once you start doing it, you kind of just get into doing it. You
Hmm.
know, I'm not inspired to clean my bathroom, but once I start doing it, I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
And you're doing it, which is the amazing thing. Like, and we're reading it. So, that, you've got all the pieces in place, which I think is wonderful. And again, I really, really appreciate, Lily, that you're here and that you were so honest about all of this, that we asked so many questions. And I really have enjoyed getting to know you a little bit.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you everybody for your questions and dropping by on a Monday night. Here it's snowing here. I don't know where, if it's snowing where you are, but we're all very miserable and cold. I had to shovel
Oh,
already. So thank you so much for letting me come, and thank you so much for dropping by.
absolutely. Cool. So happy reading, everybody. I'll send out a recap email with the video link if you want to share it. And Lily, I'll be looking forward to your future books. I'm really looking forward to that Library of Flowers, even though really also am going to catch your romances because they
I hope
just
you
sound
like it.
amazing.
I hope you like it. I really, I was doing proof pages the other day, and I still, I'm, I was like, yeah, I like this book.
If you like it, we'll like it. So have a wonderful night. Thanks again, Lily. And for everybody else, happy reading. Well,
Great.
actually, to you too, Lily. Happy reading.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.